So, what can we expect to see from refugee children coming to a new country? What should we look for? When refugee kids are first coming to a new country, we might be quick to make assumptions on how they're feeling because they're fleeing war or persecution. But the refugee experience is extremely variable. Some have traumatic experiences, but others don't. And the majority won't be able to state if their experience is traumatic because they're still in survival mode or because they're children and they just don't have the vocabulary to state as such. So we need to be very clear that some emotional distress in war-affected kids is normal. It's a normal response to a very abnormal situation. We don't want to overly pathologize kids and families who are rightfully struggling. Now, clinicians and helpers tend to focus a lot on the traumatic experiences that kids and families face. But we need to be mindful of the stressors in the current post-migration environment. So bullying, discrimination at school and in the community, acculturative stress, changing family roles, the loss of loved ones who are missing or separated. These are the most common issues that refugee children face. The majority of refugee kids in the long term do just fine. But then there are those who struggle more. And for those that might need a more additional support, for school age, elementary school kids, they might have some physical symptoms like headache, stomach ache, because many kids express anxiety and stress through physical aches and pains. They might have regression with bedwetting, so nightmares, insomnia, some separation anxiety, and an increase in general worries or fears about leaving the parents or going to school. They might have feelings of persistent concern about their safety or the safety of others. So maybe they're feeling guilty or ashamed, especially if their loved one is left behind. They might describe being overwhelmed by feelings of fear or sadness. They might have sleep problems, and they might have attention and academic difficulties. In teenagers and adolescents, we might see both externalizing and internalizing behaviors as a stress response. So you might see more of the externalizing, the aggressive behaviors, hitting, yelling, name calling. The younger kids will see more tantrums. In adolescents, it could be more self-harm behaviors, alcohol, drug abuse, risky sexual behavior. In both, children and adolescents will have irritability or ongoing upset. And we can also see internalizing symptoms, right? Where people become more withdrawn, they isolate more, they're quieter. They might say they feel more depressed and alone, and they can develop some eating disorders. Now, some of the more trauma-specific symptoms are re-experiencing some of the past. So constantly thinking about the event, replaying it over in their minds. There's avoidance, where they're consciously trying to avoid engagement, trying not to think about what happened. A negative thought and mood, so blaming others or oneself, having less interest in things they used to enjoy, and an inability to remember key aspects of the past. And then there's this arousal symptom cluster, which is being on edge, right? Being on the lookout, constantly being worried. So how should schools and teachers respond? Right? Should we engage with the child individually, and if so, how? So we can all start with the basics of psychological first aid. The main principles are to look, listen, and link. So we look for who is in distress, right? So who has those symptoms I just mentioned. But also look towards the parents and families. Connect with them. Engage in conversation with them. Hear about their concerns, what they're seeing, right? The strengths of the child. In many cultures, parents who are involved in schools are seen as intrusive. So let parents know that you're there for them and that your intention is to make them have a safe and welcoming environment for their child. And then we listen to them, meaning we let them talk, not us, right? Adults like to talk, but we can use our body language to show we're attentive to the child. We can paraphrase to show we're listening. So it sounds like this made you feel angry. Is that right? And you convey warmth to encourage them to speak. You can use open-ended questions like, I'm interested in hearing more on your thoughts about this or that, right? Or can you tell me more? And then we summarize. So let me see if I get this right. Like, you're saying blah, blah, blah. Is that right? So when we do respond, we want to normalize and validate their emotion, not necessarily the behavior. We can say, yeah, it makes complete sense that you would feel angry and scared. And then we normalize. So lots of other kids who've experienced what you have feel the same way. You're not alone. Okay, and then another question was, are there practices or strategies that we can apply in our classrooms to support children, refugee children? So one of the biggest things I see in refugee settings outside of the US is discrimination and the tension between the refugee child coming into the school and the local class. As an example, I work with Syrian refugee kids in Jordan. Right? So initially, everyone's welcoming to help refugee families fleeing war, open arms. But then people perceive that refugees are getting special treatment. Right? They're thought to take up school supplies and spots. In the community, the rent prices go up, the food prices go up. So parents are talking more about feeling the stress. And that trickles down to the kids, who then internalize the discrimination between us and them. So schools need to focus on anti-discrimination in the classroom. So to incorporate social-emotional curriculum that emphasizes anti-bullying, how to bear witness and manage when someone is kind of mistreating someone else. We focus on safety, emotion management, self-control, and conflict resolution. Schools are really important, especially for our refugee and underserved ethnic minority youth who are less likely to receive mental health care. Many are coming from under-resourced neighborhoods, so teachers and school staff, they're more likely to be aware of what's going on with the child. So if kids are being disruptive in class, we can first ask not what's wrong with you, but what's happened to you. And then we give positive behavioral support. We have clear and firm limits that are logical, not punitive. For example, I had a teen who was so angry at his parents that he punched a hole in his bedroom door. So the consequence is that he raises money to fix that door, and he has no door until it's fixed, right? Not that we take away his phone for 2 weeks, right? So in the classroom, we ensure that there are consistent rules and consequences. And as teachers and school staff, we make sure that we're modeling nonviolent and respectful relationships. I've also seen, and I'm hearing a lot now in the Ukrainian context, about teachers who have their own kind of discrimination towards refugees. Some of that is because teachers are overwhelmed and feeling incompetent in how to respond, especially when there are no language resources, so kids aren't able to learn in the same language. Now, regardless of culture or context, it's a school's responsibility to create a safe and positive environment for a child to learn. So we can put into action a school-wide plan that tells all adults how to support positive behavior, address unacceptable behavior, and to refer students who need help. The second thing we can do is to engage with language resources. We need someone to help kids learn in the local language. We can also use storytelling and dramatic play to help kids learn whatever language is of the host country. Kids need to feel safe and comfortable in order to learn. So make the classroom look really comfortable, like home. Fill the room with things that can get them excited, that they want to talk about, different little play stations. This gives them choice about what they want to do and gives them the agency to engage in what interests them. They're more willing to talk about what they're interested in. When their self-esteem goes up, their motivation goes up. In general, we want to empower kids, not disempower them. So we avoid any kind of power battles with the students. Many kids who've experienced turmoil will try to control their environment. When they feel helpless, behavior becomes problematic. When I see behavioral problems in kids, I think of relationship repair, right? We can provide positive, unconditional, positive regard. As consistently caring adults, the school staff have this opportunity to really help students build trust and form relationships. Thank you.